was brought near to me. They said, O Moses, either throw first, or let us be the first throwers.
Benefit.
Guidus TV is free.
Log in now and
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Halal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala will all be able to benefit.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business, just free.
log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at Donate to
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and we're coming to you almost live from our studios right here in Southern Cali. Yeah, we're in California, and it is a beautiful day today. It got a little chilly. We got down in the 40s last night, and they're predicting that it's similar for tonight. Woo! Yeah, but not like in other places. For instance, one of our brothers in Minnesota was telling us that they're having very crisp weather, and reports that we get from Michigan also crisp, not as in fee, but as in cold crispy. And let's now go to Florida and find out what is the temperatures there. And just now out of surgery, we have Dr. Adil. Salam alaikum. MashaAllah. Salam alaikum, doctor. Uh-oh. Same.
Adil, unmute yourself.
Okay. Let's, yeah. Let's see if we can.
You're muted.
Yeah. But actually, muting is better than mutating, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okie doke. Well, let's see. He's still muted. Let's see.
Yes, still muted.
Unmute. Go ahead. Go ahead, doctor.
You're muted.
You're still muted. Go ahead. Unmute it.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
MashaAllah. Well, let's talk about Dr. Sultan, who is joining us all the way from St. Louis, Mo. And Alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. MashaAllah. And
it feels like we have entered winter.
Yeah.
This morning it was late 20s. Right now it's 31, but feels very, very cold with some wind associated with that. But that's the first time we're really tasting the winter right now. Otherwise, it was down in the 40s, 50s, 60s. It's been good, but yesterday and today were cold days. So I think they are here to stay for a little while.
MashaAllah. Doctor, we wanted to ask you, if you will, just briefly tell us what's the update on the COVID virus, if you can give me that. Is it going up? Is it down? Is it stable? What's about the vaccination, etc.?
Yeah, I can talk about the vaccination that is available. And, next week, my wife is scheduled to vaccinate. She's infectious diseases. And she's among the very first ones to get the vaccine in St. Louis area. So I'm really excited about it. Now, there's something very interesting about this vaccine, the vaccine that the Muslim couple created. The interesting way, if you try to understand it, it looks like a science fiction story. because what they've done is they've taken the messenger RNA, which tells the cells what to do. So it is not the actual virus, so you can't get viral infection from it. You see, so when it gets into the body, it stimulates the body to produce defective spike antigen. You know, as on this virus, those little spikes you see. So it makes the body produce defective spike antigen. So like simulates a virus, but since these are defective, they cannot be attached to any body tissues and cause any sickness. But when the body sees that there's some foreign body right in here, so it mounts the antibody response. And when you give it in 3 weeks later, it's further boost up. So you see, you take messenger RNA, there's no antigen in there. It makes the body produce defective antigen, which is not going to harm you. And then the body recognizes that antigen and mounts the antibody attack against it. That's how you make the image. So it looks like, to me, it's a science fiction, you know, how you can messenger RNA and order the body to produce antigen, which looks like coronavirus antigen, but it is not exactly the same thing. But body recognizes, and the kind of antibodies it produces, they're protective antibodies. So this is really fascinating.
One thing very important. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah. Now we're getting you back.
Alhamdulillah.
The big news is that Dr. Adil has been unmuted. So let's go ahead.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So this is always when you have a challenge like this, you have to thank Allah more, have to thank God more. So to add to what Dr. Sultan was talking about, the coronavirus, now we have new challenges, over 1,000 cases of new coronavirus variant found in England. And,
this is a pickup from last night. We were asking about this subject, and you're saying it's in Europe. Now, specifically, I understood last night that there was something going on in the UK of a variant, but also we heard something about Germany. Is this 2 or 3 or 4 more strains, or just one strain, or is it what?
Sure. What's the report said that there is identified in England a new variant of coronavirus, which could be associated with a faster spread of the virus. And this initial analysis showed it's growing faster than the existing variant. And most of these, it's kind of genetically manipulated, and it could be, found in different places. But this is what 1,000 cases have been identified in England. And as we learn more and more, we're trying to keep everybody up to date and what's the challenges going to be. I believe no matter what, it's going to go back to the main, goal, which is enhance and strengthen the immune system, because there's going to be a lot of bugs out there. And I put the mask on specifically because a lot of people are, we're okay. We got the vaccine, so, things going to be normal. No, they're not going to be normal, according to Dr. Fauci, till next fall. 2021, when you have more than 70% of the population have already been vaccinated and then have a good level of immunity in the system. So it's an ongoing challenge. There may be some other new variants of coronavirus or other viruses coming down the pipe, and I believe that the really only way to be in a safe zone, if you would be to get your immune system to be really, really strong, because even of the 3 months of protection is not really going to be, we don't have any data beyond that. And, going back to the old fashioned in the longer sustainable way to basically combat any virus out there, whatever it is the coronavirus or any new variant that's being mutated right now as we talking. Not muted. I was muted, but the virus is being mutated. So it's an ongoing challenge that requires.
So you got muted, but the virus got mutated.
That's exactly right. And this is what's coming. So we have to, number one, don't take our caution. We still have to get the mask and social distancing and improve our sustained campaign of hand washing, hygiene, all the things we've been saying all along. Strengthen the immune system with we said with the black seed, honey, ginger, lemon, and exposure suns. Said get enough rest, combat stress. And also work on how we could really get mental wellness by sustaining close in God and all that, and be aware of what's coming next because now it's a global issue. So I know that everybody's excited about the vaccine out in the hospitals and the media and so on, but this is something that we all have to be looking out for.
Okay, what is? Tell us a little bit about what Dr. Sultan was telling us about something about the virus and the way that the unique way that the Muslim couple had figured out how to make the vaccine.
It's a beautiful mRNA technology, the messenger ribosomal nucleic acid, which is driven from the DNA, and how use this technology not just only for the antiviral, but I looked into more. Those two awesome scientists, husband and wife, they want to apply the same technology to treat heart disease, heart failure, various types of cancers. By enhancing the immune system. So this is certainly a great success story that could be replicated down the road for many other disease entities like heart disease and cancer.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. So what we're saying, I think what I'm getting from you guys tonight is that we really need to buckle down, that it could get worse before it gets better. Is that what we're saying?
That is correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the final word. Okay, well, get ready, guys, because it looks like we're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to all of this, inshallah ta'ala. And you were talking about the couple that had come up with this, and the one that Pfizer is putting out is connected to these to the Turkish Muslim couple who did this. Is that right?
That's correct. BioNTech, they're the owners of this BioNTech company, which is working in collaboration with Pfizer. But there are other competitors coming down. There's one getting Moderna is also getting another vaccine that's getting FDA emergency use authorization, EUA, by maybe be at the end of the week. And because the market is so big, it cannot be just one vaccine from the Pfizer. But so there's going to be another one, Moderna vaccine. That's the other competing company, if you would, that will be also getting the doses out to the market. Same technology and same temperature precautions. Got to be really, really cold, like minus 80 degrees that we talked about yesterday, which can be logistical challenges. But that's what everybody is trying to basically be compliant with, to make sure that there's effective delivery of the vaccine.
Dr. Sultan, what do you think about all of this?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's certainly a step forward, not backward, but the way we have handled coronavirus has always been step backwards and backwards and backwards. So this is the first good news that we are getting, that we can think about an arsenal in our bags to be able to fight this infection. So I'm looking forward to positive thing, but only time will tell. So my advice would be that if you do not have serious allergy problems, what it means is that if you have not carry EpiPen to manage your allergies, go ahead and have the vaccination done so that it's for your good and for good of other people. Every day, my family, my friends around in here, I'm not only just the news, but my personally knowing that people are dying. There are several family members of mine who have died so far from this COVID infection. So yes, well, we are hope unless the people cooperate, unless the people get the vaccination, but it's not going to go by itself. And I don't think that no matter what you do without vaccination, I don't think that we're going to go anywhere. Even with vaccination, Dr. Fauci is talking about fall of 2021. And if you imagine that there's no vaccine, how long will it continue on? We had a flu start in 1918. It's still there with us. So it's going to be still with us unless we do a good amount of vaccination and build up the immunity, herd immunity in the community, or acquired immunity, whatever way you want to get the immunity. So that's the only way to control it. Otherwise, as long as hosts are there to spread, it will continue to go on.
All right. Okay, well, I think that kind of wraps it up for what we wanted to cover and talk about that. Dr. Adil, if you will, let's move on to the subject of how important is it for us as Muslims. Now, and we know the importance of the Muslims in the medical profession. How important is it for us to have our voice here in America?
Absolutely, a very vital and very important. While there is sometimes an intentional or manufactured or unintentional misinformation campaign, regardless of what it is out there, the Muslims should be the people of conscience and believers should really rally on the fact of spreading truth, promoting truth, transparency, and ethical practices, because I know there's a lot of corporate competition now on basically market share competition. And I know, like I mentioned, Moderna is getting 6 million doses by Friday when they get the authorization. So everybody is trying to really quickly push their product into the market with, pump up as much as they can. But we have to be, fair into the data and stay very evidence-based with regards to how everything is being administered, and keep a track on things, and warn people also. There are some historical data that we know from the regular flu, for instance, about the side effects, about people who have the allergic reactions like Guillain-Barré and all that. Those people, I think they have to be in a hospital setting where they're, and some people will be, if it's anaphylaxis or something like their tongues swell up and stop breathing, then absolute caution, or even not really to may not be candidates for this vaccine. So everything is going to be individualized. It's not going to be one size fits all. And as long as we continue to consciously and honestly gather data that's not manipulated to promote one product versus the other, and share it with people and educate them about their own health and how to maintain their health and how to take precautions, because ultimately it's not going to be the vaccine alone. That everybody really has to get that clear in their head. Vaccine is just like a one break in the wall, but all the facts, like we mentioned, combined together, this is going to enhance the healthy immune system that's going to fight whatever pathogen that's out there, virus or bacterial or otherwise.
Okay. Actually, Doctor, I read something tonight that I'd like for you to comment on it if you know about it, or Dr. Sultan, if you know about it. Let me put it up here for everybody to take a look at it. This is You can see the halal mark. That's in Arabic. It says ha, lam, alif, lam. Halal. Okay. But the article is saying that the Christian Indian groups in Kerala want a boycott of all halal meat right ahead of Christmas because they claim the Muslims, the Muslims there are claiming that they're being targeted. So what I think, Dr. Sultan, if you don't mind, we call upon you because I know you might have a little insight into that. Can you tell us about that, Doctor?
Well, I didn't get the full news, but as what I understand is from what you said was that obviously halal meat business is in the hands of Muslims, you see, and Muslims are being targeted. Actually, Muslims are being targeted, and even Christians are targeted. I've got
we've had
one Christian lady who runs an organization and she tells me that they are very badly targeted. So it is not. It is Muslim, obviously, to a greater degree than Christians and other faiths. But if they stop buying zabiyah meat during Christmas, it will hurt Muslims further. So who is boycotting? The Hindus don't eat meat anyway. Many of them, but some do. So who is boycotting the halal meat?
Well, I think it would be. It says right on it. Let me read the headline to you again, Doctor. Christian groups in Kerala. Kerala is the southern part of India, as you know. They're calling for this boycott of meat that's slaughtered halal just before Christmas, and the IUML, this is the Muslim League there, is claiming that they're the ones being targeted, even though it's not. I don't want to get into any of the speculation, and that's why I'd ask you to, weigh in on that. But perhaps.
I think I may want to just add to what Dr. Sultan said. This is following has nothing to do with halal. Halal is healthy. We already know that. It's already been scientifically proven. It's been medically proven. It has no antibiotics. It has no hormones. It has no carcinogens. All the stuff that's added to make artificially the meat bigger in size and all that. Halal is the fastest growing health product for consumption, and people now are getting more trust in it. And I see it myself when I go and buy halal in some restaurants, specific stores and so on. It's already out the shelf, and most of the people are buying. They're not Muslims, by the way. So now everybody knows that halal is the healthiest meat, the healthiest products, whether it's chicken or meat and of any type. It's clean. It is bacterial free. You're not going to get sick when you eat it. You're not going to get any E. coli or any other contaminants. This has already been proven so many times. So when people do that, when it hurts some people economically or whatever, it's not going to work. It's actually, if anything, is going to increase more people awareness because it's really going to be up to the consumer. I like this stuff. It's clean. I enjoy it. It's healthy. It's making me healthy and not sick, and it gives me energy and so on. You know what? I love halal. Whether I'm a Muslim or not, that has nothing to do with it. It's a good product. Like when you buy anything that you ever consume as a consumer, for clothes or anything else, you look what's good for you and what's going to benefit you. And what else more important than it is, because you could use food as medicine to give you energy, to give you health and wellness. So people now realizing halal is the best product that's out there globally, and everybody knows that. And yes, it is Muslim pioneered, but it's for all mankind. And to give people, we already know that pork is lethal. from a scientific point of view, from so on. And it's being preached even in a lot of churches and so on, and people die of many, worms and infections, and it's a filthy, animal that kills, that basically eats their own, dead child, and I unfortunately, part of my research was, creating a close animal. The closest animal model to humans, and at the time was either dogs or pork, pigs. And oh my God, when I used to go there and we had to deliver like stents before the FDA approval of the coronary stents and so on. There is a reason that God have created, these animals and have or told us not to, eat swine. It is filthy. It is contaminated. And the more that you actually look at all that and you just wonder, is this be true that people actually consume that? And they have no clue. So Muslims, out of care and love for humanity, eat only halal, period. For your own good, scientifically and medically proven, that's it. But if you want to do anything else, that's fine. But I believe that we should establish a testimony and make that clear and make that known and make that available for people to really promote halal and to have this, that you delete, all the blood and get out of the animal. So there's no blood, there's no bacterial overgrowth, there's no hormones, there's no antibiotic, there's no carcinogens in the food, there's no preservatives, just good, wholesome food. That's what halal is. Halal food is.
All right.
Yeah, there's one comment I'll make, especially on chicken in the United States, it is commercially produced, and most people do not realize it, that why it is a common cause for E. coli infections.
Go ahead, doctor.
Of course, it's not halal way of killing. Then they defeather it, and then there's a claw-like thing that gets into the stomach and pulls out all the intestines. Well, they cannot be pulled out all intact. So many of those intestines rupture. So now the meat is contaminated with the feces. Now they will put it'll go in a bucket and will come out like this, and another bucket will come out, and you can see that this is all green. That's a part of the feces, you see. And eventually it gets in the market. That's all the cleaning they do. One dip, and at the most another dip, and that's the end of it. That's why there was one of my colleagues. She wrote an article, and it said, "Is poop part of American diet?" The answer is yes. Because same way, the other meats, the non-halal meats, the way it is prepared, the cows, and there's one thing very interesting people may not realize. You see, there's one thing, it's called $10 a cow. You know what is that $10 a cow means? You see, these animals, when they get old, they are diseased, disabled, dying, or dead animals. This is when they will sell a dying cow, which will die tomorrow. It will get sold for $10. And there's a lot of this fast foods. They get the meat from them. That's why for $1 or less than $1 or a little bit more than $1, they can give you a whole hamburger, because that's what the meat they're buying, and people do not realize. Another part of the thing is...
Doctor, excuse me to interrupt you, but I worked in the slaughter, and I know that it's not allowed for them to do that in any of the slaughterhouses that are FDA approved, because they have a veterinarian that has to be there anytime. Whenever I would go into slaughter halal, they had to have anybody slaughtering, It wasn't just because I was there, but I'm saying that anytime I would go into any of the slaughterhouses, they had to have the veterinarian, who doesn't work for the company, he works for the government, and he makes sure that all of these animals are at least basically healthy and they must die from the blood going out. That's a law in the United States. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that has always been there for the last 50 years that I know of.
Oh, there are a lot of laws and things like that. Thou should not lie, and thou should not do this, and thou should not do this. But that keeps happening. This is an FDA agent came to our academy.
Doctor, your internet is cutting out really bad tonight, and I'm going to have to go ahead and take a break right now. So we're going to
American Mental Medicine, Dying, Disease, and Disabled.
Doctor, excuse me, your internet broke up really bad. It's breaking up really, really bad tonight. So we're going to go to a break right now, and we're going to find out. One lady, so many years ago, she opposed the halal meat there in Florida, and she just really ranted and raved about it. And then here's what the reply came from one of the commentators. Let's take a look at this, guys, and find out what's the reply to those who don't want to eat Butterball turkeys. Because Butterball, by the way, the company Butterball, likes to promote halal turkeys, because as Dr. Adol had mentioned to us, this is the healthy way to go. But anyway, let's see what the reply is here.
When I first heard about this next story, I thought it must be a joke. I mean, here it is Thanksgiving weekend. Nobody in their right mind would protest killing turkeys too humanely. The operative phrase is in their right mind. Allow me to introduce you to conservative columnist Pamela Geller. She's a darling of the right wing. She's a notorious hater of Muslims, and she just wrote a column complaining about Butterball. Here's the background. Butterball, as you may know, is one of the most popular producers of Thanksgiving turkeys in the United States. The company believes in making their product palatable to a variety of religious Americans, and to that end, Butterball recently confirmed its whole turkeys are certified halal. Halal is an Islamic term that refers to how animals are butchered, much like kosher butchering for Jewish people. Halal requires that an animal be killed in the most humane fashion possible by swiftly cutting the turkey's throat. According to Geller, this is a problem. Why should we be forced to conform to Islamic norms? It's Islamic supremacism on the march yet again. Yes, according to Pam Geller, it's Islamic supremacism. She went on to write, quote, non-Muslims in America and Europe don't deserve to have halal turkey forced upon them in this way, without their knowledge or consent. So this Thanksgiving, fight for your freedom. Find a non-halal, non-Butterball turkey to celebrate Thanksgiving this Thursday, and write to Butterball and request politely but firmly that they stop selling only halal turkeys and make a non-halal turkey available to Americans who still value our freedoms. Pam, we're talking about turkeys, and allow me to enlighten you and your readers. It's not just how a turkey is killed that is important for halal or kosher certification. The animal must not be diseased. If the turkey has tumors or cysts, it's not certified. The meat must not come in contact with contaminants, like worms, bugs, dirt, feces, bacteria, things that are also not allowed by federal meat inspectors. All the blood must be allowed to drain out before packaging. Pam, you wrote, I wouldn't knowingly buy a halal turkey, would you? Actually, I would. In fact, most Americans who eat turkey would probably be more likely to buy a halal or kosher one if they knew what it stood for. But I want to help you protect your Thanksgiving from the threat of clean, healthy, humanely butchered meat. So I encourage you to go to a turkey farm tomorrow, ask for the most diseased animal around, clobber it over the head with a dull hammer, but not too hard because you want the bird to suffer for a while. Drag the animal on the ground, smear it in feces, take the bird home, expose it to as much bacteria as possible, then serve it as your Thanksgiving meal. After all, as you wrote, who wants halal turkeys, especially on a day in which we are giving thanks to God for our freedom? Exercise your freedom, Pam. Go with diseased, dirty, infected turkey meat and let us know how your family and guests enjoy the holiday at your house or whatever insane asylum these days you are calling home.
I want to add to this,
Wow. Okay, now we got on our break. We'll be right back right after this, guys. And this is about not boycotting halal, boycotting the ones who attack and insult the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. Take a look. How I vote for Muhammad. Everybody knows how much I love coffee, right? And I like to use the purest of the water on the planet to make my coffee with. Yeah. Then I was looking real close on this, and I said, France? From the French Alps? Okay, well, I know what to do with this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get rid of it. Okay, nope. I don't care how much it costs. Me, I cannot put up with the insults of my Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what I'm going to be using in my coffee. And by the way, Muhammad wins my vote. What about yours? Share now so others can see how to vote. How I vote. MashaAllah. And that's why we use that term voting for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How you vote for him is how you spend your money. And this capitalist system that we have here in America and Europe and most of the world is very much influenced by you. You and I, when we spend our money, that is exactly what people look at. How do we spend our money? What are we buying? What are we going for? And what are we boycotting? What are we staying away from? Boycotting means you just simply, you're not going to do anything violent or anything. You're just going to stay away from it. I'm not going to do that. For instance, if I'm on a diet, as an example, and I don't want to eat anything with high carbs, then I'm boycotting anything with high carbs. And I'm losing weight and feeling good, but that's another point. So this is the idea of boycotting. Because when companies see their profits go down, then they're going to be paying attention. And whenever the politicians, and you might think, well, how are they affected? Because who do you think they really work for? Because whenever they have their elections, who is going to donate the most money? Like you and I, maybe I'll give $10 or $20 or $15, some small amount that I might like to give to this guy who's running for sheriff, and another, so maybe $5 for the mayor. Considering that a company would come in and donate $2 million, that's a whole lot of people, right? So when the companies are not going to support a politician because he has a real bad image with the constituents, so they're not buying this product, and then they're going to say, okay, all right, don't support this guy anymore. We'll go over here because we need our business. All right. And that's exactly what's happening. Right now, today, Japan and Korea are competing with each other to catch that extra business of what was going to France. And Fiji, in the middle of this whole conversation about water, the Fiji Islands is doing booming business because they've always had good water, that they were the competition to Evian to start with. But now, because they're so much doing business, that's why you're finding other people looking out for how can we cash in on this as well. All right, so let's come back now to Dr. Adil. He's got something that he would like to tell us.
I want to add to everything you said, Sheikh. It's all about business. Now we're talking about Beyond Meat. We're talking about a huge industry of multi-trillion dollars, globally. And India halal industry is booming. And that's what it is. The reality is India is the third largest Muslim population in the world. And they actually the fourth largest exporter of meat to the Muslim world, and beyond. And we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar, business. There's a huge export of the India, the halal certification now that's getting to be more standardized for any product to ensure credibility, and that's done in halal certification. And they're getting really better at it every day. There's $3.6 billion worth of buffalo meat just in the year 2018 to 2019. That was mostly sent to Muslim countries, but it also was sent to Vietnam, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, Indonesia. So it's all about money. It has nothing to do with anything. And we know now halal is the best, healthiest meat to consume. And halal extends not just to meat, but to other products and supplements and pharmaceuticals and tourism and other things. It has to do with a certain way of life rather than a specifically and limited only to the meat market. So this just make sure that people understand there's something really awesome. It's called halal food, halal products that everybody's going after. Muslims and non-Muslim, because it's good, because it's healthy, because it helps people to maintain their health. And we already know the differences scientifically with all the contamination, with all the wrong way of preparing food that led people be sick and with chronic diseases and end up being in the hospital, food poisoning, this and that. So now that we have an awesome industry that's getting organized, it's getting bigger, and because there's a huge need to fill that gap. Again, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And India is a huge exporter of buffalo. So there maybe some portions of the Indian population, the Hindus don't eat meat, and that's fine. But they are making a lot of money selling the halal meat, buffaloes and so on and so forth to the Muslim world. They're number 5 in their exporter. So this is huge. And when people get to know that, then bingo, that's the answer. It's all about money.
Let me ask you a question. Have you personally eaten any of the buffalo meat?
I used to,
so you know what it tastes like.
Yes, I have tasted it. Yes.
I had it a few times in my life, but always I said, man, this is really good steak. It really amazing.
But then it also goes to other things like, other products. There's goat. Goat is now being very, very popularized especially for those who have heart disease or high cholesterol, that they want to taste meat and so on without that.
I didn't know about the goat. Goat is healthy for your heart.
Yes, compared to sheep and all that. I think they're much leaner.
What about the sheep? That is something that the Arabs love, to have a sheep out there, a full, complete sheep laying there and prepared up, but there's so much fat.
That's correct. That is correct. So goat is going to be the way to go. I know it's very popular in Pakistan, and maybe Dr. Sultan can comment on that. We're talking about the goat meat versus other. It said for those who would really like the taste of meat without the cholesterol, especially, and there's quite a few of them. So now we're talking about competition, and who's the boss? The boss is the consumer. So if anybody, now we're going to bring you something called halal that's awesome, that's wholesome, that's nutritious, that is healthy, that is void of all contaminants. People flocking. I'm telling you, we go there to the store and ran out. They ran out of halal meat, and we're talking about 10 o'clock in the morning. And most of the people, they took the boxes of chicken and meat and so on. And what, guys, are you Muslims? No, we're not. So what are you doing? Okay. We love it. We love halal food. So this is global. This is not it. So, tell people, relax. Let if somebody wants halal, don't stop them. It's their choice. And it's really going to be the consumer. And if somebody Muslims are not few. They're almost close to 2 billion. And this is a huge $1 trillion industry and business. So if somebody pissed somebody off and you guys don't respect our religion or our prophet or, and so on, we'll go somewhere else. And just it's pure and simple. The Tea Party did it back in, and then they switched from drinking tea, leaving England, coming to the United States, looking for freedom. And they switched to coffee, which you are drinking now. And it became a sign of patriotism. And by the way, that was an Arab Muslim that actually discovered coffee. We can talk about this maybe next week.
I think that's a great story.
That people are benefiting. It was the Arabica, especially that version.
They still call it Arabica coffee, man.
So there's a lot of great things that the Muslim are contributing to humanity, and people are just smearing them and smashing them. But I think the beauty, it will shine no matter what. That's the awesome thing about it. All what we're trying to do is kindly do the education and kindness and spread that everywhere, everyone, and let them benefit. And then, this is our job. This is our job description as Muslims, as believers, as those who submit to their Creator, to be the positive force on this planet.
Okay, well, I see that we have Dr. Sultan back with us. Dr. Sultan, assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
Polka dot mask.
Yeah, we see that. MashaAllah.
Getting the message out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something very, very interesting. You see, in the United States, the more expensive meat is that of beef. You see, in Pakistan is the opposite. Goat is the meat of the rich, and beef is the meat of the poor, because poor cannot afford the goat meat because it's so good, so delicious, and the lamb has too much fat. We don't like it, and it has kind of a smell, so we don't like it. So the goat is the most preferred. Now, there are a few other things. The reality I'm going to talk about, Sheffield started talking about, there's inspectors, all the slaughterhouses. The truth of the matter is that there are hundreds of thousands of animals being slaughtered every day. There's no human way of having all these inspectors inspect each and everything. This goes on all around. We had an FDA inspector at least come twice to our meetings, in which he talked about that what goes on behind the scene in the slaughterhouses. So that's what I was talking to you. Now, let me give you an example. Forget about the slaughterhouse. Let's go one step further. When you take ground beef, the FDA allows 1% contamination into the ground beef. That contamination can be bacteria, can be viruses, can be rodent hair, it can be rodent feces, it can be cockroaches, or what and what not, So up to 1% in a hamburger is legally allowed. So are you going to eat 1% of crap in 100% of 99% of meat? No, I don't think so. So from his teaching, he introduced us to the term 4D meat. That was dead, dying, disease, and disabled animals. And then he talked about another interesting term called 1X, 2X, and 3X cows. You see, 3X cows is going to die in about 3 days, so it's going to have more price. 1X is going to die next day, and it sells for $10 a cow. And this is where a lot of these quick stores, fast food people buy the meat, the lowest of the lowest quality meat. So this is, most people do not realize what goes on in their slaughterhouses. So I just wanted to bring attention to this. And halal meat is limited. Animals are slaughtered; they can be washed, they can be done, and then those are healthy animals and killed in a healthy way, depleting most of the blood. So a lot of diseases happen, spread through the blood. So depleting the blood makes them more healthy. Another very interesting thing is that they have done the studies that if we talk about killing the animal in humane way. What does the humane mean? To kill is kill. But what does the word humane really mean? That's what I'm going to explain to you. They have taken the goats and lamb and put in the EKG, and then they slaughtered it. They will see that the heart will very slowly come to stop. You see. On the other hand, when they kill it by the bullet in the head and then cut it off, they see that in that activity, the heart rate is very irregular and chaotic state. So this shows that a humane way of killing an animal is halal when you cut the neck and let the blood bleed out completely. Most people don't realize what goes on behind the scene in this food factory.
I want to add to Dr. Sultan, this is very important, and I wrote on it, and I'll share with you these articles about why halal is healthy and why so on, and then talking about the humane. There is the most humane way of sacrificing the animal in Islam. You number one, you don't show the animal when you sharpen the knife. Number two, you bring one animal at a time. You don't let the other animal watch the one is being sacrificed. Number three, you say a prayer on the Bismillah, Allahu Akbar before that, and that subdues the animal completely and put them in a very peaceful situation. Number four, when you do the sharp the knife, it's one cut across the neck that will drain all the blood, and the animal does not feel the pain because the receptors for pain, it will be, the patient will be already, the animal will be already knocked out, fully unconscious before they have any transmission of pain impulses, that happen to them, or the animals squeal and all that because they go through so much torture. But in Islam, it goes one shot and very, very peaceful. And, I was really amazed. You make sure that the other animal don't see that animal so they'll go scared, and you don't sharpen the knife in front of the animal. How merciful that could be. And this is what God allowed for us to have the energy to serve God and do the righteous deeds and so on. This is what God in Surah Al-An'am allowed us to, certain animals Allah allowed, and God Almighty, and certain did not. But that goes into the psychology of the animal that actually goes in peace. And there's a lot of video on YouTube in Australia in particular, because they do a lot of them. And they say, see how to bring the animal and put down and on. And another brother in one of the farm, he used to make a video and he was sacrificing the animal. And so beautifully done and so peacefully and there's no fights and animal doesn't kick and all that. Subhanallah, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. When you say the prayer on the animal, that just kind of put it all in a very peaceful situation. So it's a huge different methodology. The way that the animal's clean, the blood is all drained, so there's no bacterial, medium for growth and infection. All the excreta and the bad things, and basically people eating caca, that hasn't been cleaned, but it's just so much. And no wonder a lot of people have, millions of cases of food poisoning and all that because the food is contaminated. So it's a good way that we actually look in scientifically, and also from a human part and from spiritual part of fulfilling God's orders, but also pointing out that halal is something really everybody should be consuming halal only, nothing else. But it's everybody's choice, and they're free. Well, our job is to, educate and transmit the truth, and then everybody else has the choice to make their own decision.
Well, speaking of that, I just now realized that I forgot to put you on the air while you were talking, while I was not watching the screen, and I apologize for that. But you were talking about conveying the truth. And how important is it for us to have our voice here in America telling this, like on our television channels and our many websites? How important is it? Is it this is critical, or is it just entertainment?
It's super critical. It's very important. It's very vital to support a platform like Guidance TV to get the word out, not just in the U.S. but really globally, and let people understand about Islam, about the Muslim way of life, because halal is an integral part of that, and what is significant and so on. Certainly, that will have an impact on the rising Islamophobia that's really hurting everybody and hurting the peace in the world. And it's really a nice message that help to promote goodness, no matter what it is. Helping distribute food. I don't care what it is, Muslim, non-Muslim, and it's really nice to have a platform that this message could be communicated globally. And it's in English that everybody understands and so on. So it's really need everybody's support. Everybody have to rally behind it. It shouldn't be just Sheikh Yusuf asking for it. Everybody should feel like, hey, I gotta pitch in, no matter what. It's between you and Allah, whatever it is. But you gotta be part of this really transformational kind of outlet and maintain it for generations to come. And then kind of balance the views out there, because one way you see only nothing but knocking out Muslims and really putting them down and so on. But then something also would say, okay, here's the right way of things, and here's another version that we're delivering to you based on evidence and so on and so forth. So it's good to have that balance, and Guidance TV brings that balance.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to bring up another important thing. People, out of fashion, eat veal. It looks pale, looks kind of, but really, what the veal is? It is, I will explain how veal is made. See, what they do is they take a small calf and put in a cage so that the calf cannot grow very much. They give, to protect from infection, they give antibiotics. They get diarrhea, they get soaked in all their own feces and stuff like that. Then they continuously bleed that animal to make it anemic, to give a pale color, which is quote unquote is attractive to some people. So really, the veal is the meat of a sick animal. That's point number one. And number two, the veal goes through a lot of cruel treatment in small cages and not enough light and not proper food and continuous antibiotics. It's a very miserable life these calves have, and we think about a delicacy that look how pale meat looks like, different than the red meat, So general people don't know what they're eating.
There are some educational videos now that does head-to-head comparison between this way of doing and then the halal way of doing. And then, you know what? Let the consumer decide after they see with their own eyes how it is done with the compassion and the hygiene.
All right.
The proper
well,
hygiene.
That's it. Our program is kind of wrapping up tonight, guys. But we've been talking about the coronavirus. We've been talking about the halal meat. And I think tomorrow it would be very nice for us to start out maybe showing you something a little bit different. Here's Morgan Freeman, and we're going to find out how he actually, ready for this? He called the adhan.
Yes,
yeah, I want to show that to you tomorrow night. This is a great way for our program tomorrow night. And we're going to be talking about that and people coming to Islam through Guidance TV. So we'd like to finish this off by telling you, donateislam.com. Keep us on the air for another year. This year's finishing off, but we would like to be able to continue, and we can with Allah's support and your help. So join us tomorrow for Morgan Freeman calling the adhan. Yeah, you don't want to miss that. Stay guided with Guidance TV, guys. How I vote for Muhammad. Everybody knows how much I love coffee, right? And I like to use the purest of the water on the planet to make my coffee with. Yeah. Then I was looking real close on this, and I said, France? From the French Alps? Okay, well, I know what to do with this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get rid of it. Okay, nope. I don't care how much it costs.